welcome back. We've got another edition today of doing another project here in the home. What we're working on today is we just purchased some of these new electric bikes. This one right here, and how I transport them on the truck, I bought a hitch mount, which is what this guy is right there. So that just hitches to the back of the truck, and then we put the bikes, it has a place for two, and then we can drive around wherever, right? But once we're done having it on the back of the truck, we got to have a place to put it. So I just didn't want to throw it on the side of the garage. So what I'm doing is I bought another mount that I have a section in my garage right here where you can see behind me. It just has some studs, some wood studs. A lot of the newer garages, obviously mine's really old, but a lot of the new ones are already going to have these kind of wood studs here, as well as any other kind of metal stud. But all you need is some kind of a way of anchoring in, and I bought this little hitch mount. The hitch mount just will go right onto one of these studs, and you can see you just bolt this guy right onto the stud, and then it's open on the inside, so that the hitch mount for the bike rack will just slide right into here, and you can leave it on the wall. It cleans things up. So the only thing is with this particular arrangement that I have here, I want to kind of put it up there. It'll be a little higher, so when we pull in the car into the garage, it'll be up above the hood of the car. But with these studs, I was a little worried that it just wasn't quite strong enough for how heavy this rack is. It's a pretty heavy rack. It's probably about 60, 70 pounds, maybe a little bit heavier. And there's a couple accessories and things like that go along with this that I wanted to just kind of clean things up. So what I'm gonna do, my solution is, I bought and I'll turn this around, maybe you can see it. I bought a 10 by 12, just piece of wood, and I'm gonna cut that down and mount that across here just to give me some extra stability. Then I will be able to bolt this guy right onto that 2 by 10. And I'll show you exactly what I'm gonna do. First, I just measured the opening there, which was 64 1/4. So then I'm just gonna put the wood right here. I've got it on my little sawhorses, measured out 64 1/4 inches. I'm just gonna use a little circular saw and rip it down. And then I'll show you how I bolt it onto the studs, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I've gone ahead, I've laid out the tape, I've got my mark here. Just gonna use a circular saw here, and I'm just gonna rip this down. I've placed these kind of evenly on the sawhorse, so once I cut through, hopefully it won't fall down. Okay, I've got the board cut. It's now in place. It's gonna be bolted into each one of these studs. And you see I've got a nice flat surface here. It's gonna just give it a little bit of extra strength. But in order to get this in here, I'm just gonna put some bigger lag screws in here. So what I was gonna do is I'm just gonna measure each one of them. So this just for aesthetics, it's not like this looks that great to begin with, but I'm just gonna measure in each one about 2 inches in from each side, just so it gives it some strength. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna bring it in 2 inches right there, and then 2 inches again from down below, and then I'll make sure that they're level and perpendicular to each other. But I'm gonna do that for each one of these studs, and then we'll anchor it in. Okay, so these are the bolts that I picked up. I just went to the local hardware store and I got these. They're a 1/4 by 2 inch, so it's not the most thick, heavy duty, but it's plenty long for me to anchor these into these studs. But before we do that, we're gonna have to drill a pilot hole. I don't want this to split out. So I'm gonna get a little drill bit, and we're gonna drill some pilot holes. Then we'll go ahead and we'll be able to install these. The drill bit that I chose, I mean, you can buy a set with a bunch of different kinds of drill bits. They don't tell you, oh, this is gonna work for this screw. So what I do is I just kind of line them up like this and just look and see how much bigger the screw is than this, because obviously you want the drill bit to be a lot smaller than the actual diameter of the screw, so it actually has a place to grab. But you still want it big enough, it's not gonna split the wood. that all those are drilled, then I'm going to now put these actually in. This particular one takes an 11mm socket, so I'm going to just get an adapter to go from my drill into this so I can use the socket. So I found just a bunch of little washers. When you go to buy your screws, and make sure you get some washers for that. So by putting it on like that, it'll prevent it from sinking into the wood. So we're just going to repeat this process and get all the rest of the bolts in, and then I'll show you how I'm going to mount the actual hitch bracket. Okay, we've gone and got it all in now. This thing is not going anywhere, so we'll be able to put plenty of weight on this with that bracket. The other thing that's nice about having a nice flat board against these studs like this, I can pretty much put that bracket anywhere along here and it's going to hold really nice and tight against all of this. So the next step is figuring out where I'm going to put the bracket. We're going to follow the same steps of, once we get it into place, we're going to mark the holes, we're going to pre-drill, and we'll bolt it into place. Okay, now I've got everything kind of in the right place, kind of located exactly where I'm going to put the actual hitch mount. I'm going to put it right here in the middle of these two studs. So I'm going to line it up. I'm going to first put the top one in. This one has 3 different holes for 3 different areas where you can bolt it in. But I'm going to start with the first one. I've marked the top one. I'm going to put the top one in, leave it a little bit loose. Then I'll use a level to make sure that I've got it completely level, and then I'll put the rest of it in. But I'm going to start with drilling the same step before. I've got a mark here. I'm going to just pre-drill. So I'm going to leave it just a little bit loose like that. Then I'm going to grab a level and I'll level it up. Okay, now I'm going to grab my level. I'm going to put it on the side here, and obviously there's the bubble there. I'm going to line this up so where it's perfectly level like that. I'm going to mark this one down here. In. So there's a little bit of play in this one still. So before I tighten them all the way up, I'm going to get it all leveled up again, and then I'll tighten everything down. Okay, now I'll put in the very last one. Do the same thing. We're going to drill a pilot hole. All right, this thing is nice and solid. It's not going to go anywhere. So now I'll try putting in the rack, and we'll go from, see how it looks. Okay. We've got this nice and tight. It just slides in and out of this just like it would on your truck. And then there's a hole on the side here where you can throw a pin in and it'll lock it in place. This guy is so nice and solid, it's not going to go anywhere. I don't have to worry about it falling off of the wall. So if you have a setup similar to this, you could always throw an extra, this is just a 2x10, and it just kind of secures everything a little bit more tight, and strong, and you can hold a whole lot more weight than if you just go into just kind of the setup that I had. So hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.